What up? It is Bones, and let's do another topic video. Now, I do these every once in a while when there's something that I want to talk about and discuss. Now, this recently came up because a lot of people commenting saying that if I buy the if I buy this many McFarlane figures, why don't I just buy like high-end figures or statues or hot toys? So you're basically talking about Mezco, Mafex or Mafex, whatever it is, SH Figure Arts. Those are like the main ones that I know, but I know now there's Beast Kingdom and other, anything that costs around $100 is basically what they're talking about or up. And right away to start off, I want to say that I do not have anything against people that collect those figures or people that collect statues, which is a whole different animal than collecting basic action figures. And in fact, this is more to get out the word, get it out into the community that we are not all the same. Everybody collects differently. What somebody may like or what somebody thinks looks good, somebody else will not like, and somebody else will say that it looks not so good. So I just want to get this out there. And like I said, it's not anything against people that collect other things. I mean, I know, I'm positive that there is somebody out there, and they're not little kids, that collect Spin Master. I mean, those little, figures. I don't, and it just does not interest me. But I know there is somebody out there that collects Spin Master, and that's their right. They could collect whatever they want. But what I'm trying to say is, people collect, from stamps to coins to baseball cards. I mean, you run the whole gambit of collecting. It's just everybody collects something different. So this is not to bash on people that collect differently than what I collect. It's just that I did get enough comments to bring it up and to talk about it and get it out in the open. Now, of course, first thing, people will always say that it's because you don't have money or you're broke or whatever the thing is. Trust me, we have money. It's not about money. Sometimes I will end up buying 4 or 5 figures of the same figure from McFarlane. Right there in the figures that I bought, I could have bought a Mafex or a Mezco or a SH Figure Arts. I could have bought any of those. But that's just not what I collect. It's just my own personal preference. We all have it. We all can decide what we like. Now, some will argue that it's quality over quantity. But I mean, quality to each person is different. Quantity, now that is only controlled by how many figures the company that you collect puts out. And we all know that higher end companies end up putting out less figures. And that also translates into less characters. But we'll get into that later on. Let's go ahead and figure out why me personally, I do not collect high-end figures, statues, hot toys, or anything like that. Now, the first main reason that I don't really collect any of those figures is because since I was younger, I've always been a retail collector, which means that I would go into the stores and see the figures and see what I liked and buy them. That's another reason why right now I'm kind of playing catch up with DC Direct. And when I know that there's a figure that I like the way it looks and I want it, I'll hunt it down, online. But I never actually went to a lot of comic book stores or specialty stores, and that's mainly where DC Direct was sold. And since I was more of a retail collector, I never really, saw those figures on the shelves or on the pegs. But what I did see on the pegs, I remember the first figures that I started buying on my own, and I would like do things to get money to buy them, was Legends of the Dark Knight. Now that was a more darker, like futuristic version of Batman and all his rogues gallery. But there was definitely something different about those figures and stuck out to me from the pegs, and that I wanted to collect them. Now at the same time, they did DC Superheroes, which was another line that wasn't really mass retail. That was also more like at comic stores. So I rarely saw those. But then the line that really got me into collecting and really solidified my decision to collect basically retail figures was DC Universe Classics. Now, everybody knows this. I have the whole collection mint in box, and I also have them right here loose in front of me, and that is because they were sold at retail. So I hunted them down, I waited for every wave, I bought some online, but that was like the real big explosion of when I really started collecting and deciding what I enjoyed to buy, what was appealing to my eye, which of course what's appealing to somebody's eye is not going to be appealing to somebody else, which which is the main reason why I like side-eye. I like plastic capes. I'm not a big fan of thigh cuts, which to me like make a figure stick out with those ugly cuts that you could see from a mile away. And those are my preferences. Other people, they hate side-eye. They prefer cloth capes. And thigh swivel, to them, it doesn't matter if it's ugly. What they want is the added articulation. So everybody is different. Now this does bring me into the next reason why I do not collect those figures, and that is because character selection. Now there's a big difference between a mass retail line and specialty collector focused lines, and that is that the mass retail line can actually dig deep into the DC vault of characters. And that's another thing that makes a big difference of what I collect, is that I'm mainly a DC collector. So I know that a lot of other companies make Marvel and they make DC and probably they make Lord of the Rings or whatever, but all that stuff I'm not into. I know the nerds are, but I'm not. I'm into DC comics. That's basically the characters that I like, that I enjoy. That's another thing that kind of separates me and keeps me collecting retail, is because you could have different characters from different eras, different styles of characters. And in all honesty, if you collect Mafex, if you collect Mezco, where is your Impulse figure? Where is your Superwoman figure? Where is your Martian Manhunter? Where is your Wallace West? Well, I'll tell you where. You're never going to get those. Never. It's never going to happen. That's another thing that's kind of weird, is as much as people harp on McFarlane making a lot of Batman, they always say, oh, another Batman. I know that they recently showed images of the Yellow Core Batman, and that was some of the first comments were, oh, another Batman. Batman will be with this line as long as the line goes. There's always going to be Batmans. But that kind of reassures you that the line is going to keep going, because Batman sells and Batman will keep the line afloat, and then we'll get the other, characters. And that just makes me think of something else. Where is your Grim Knights for all these high-end? Well, they're not going to make them. That's another thing, is like for Mafex and Mafex, where is your Grim Knight? I mean, eventually they'll make it, because just as I talked about McFarlane making too many Batman, they make pure Batman as well. Every time I see a Mafex announcement, what is it? Batman, or Batman related, or Superman. It's the same thing. All you get is Batman from those lines. It's like really funny. And the difference is that since I collect DC, if I were to be collecting Mezco or whatever, I would have tons of Batman, because that's all they make. It's real rare that you get a different character. I know I've seen like Dr. Fate around there. I've seen a lot of villains of Batman, but you're never going to open up the whole DC, universe. You guys don't even have a Superboy Prime, and you probably will never get one, or maybe you will, because that's all that they put out is Batman and Superman and like main villains, and that's it. You will never get obscure characters. And that brings me into releases, right? We get figures all it seems like with Crazy McFarlane, we get figures once a week at least, and then they're out, like this. But you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys get like 3 or 4 figures a year. Whoa, wow. So basically in a year on McFarlane, I'm spending thousands, and if I were to actually collect Mezco or Mafex, I would only be spending $400. because of the four figures that come out. So there really is no room to be talking about who puts out pure Batman. Any company that has a DC license is gonna milk Batman. It's just the way it is because that's what sells and that's what makes them money. Now another thing is also vehicle selection. I know that these high-end lines, you can buy figures from like other sellers and use those to put your figures, but of course they're gonna be your basic Batman, Batmobile, all that stuff. We've gotten bikes, we've gotten horses, we've gotten Batmobeast. I mean, we have just had a far better selection of vehicles, and it will continue in the future. Now, this takes me into one of the last reasons why I do not really collect these other lines, and that is like cloth goods. Like, I remember talking to an old collector one time, and he basically said, once you put cloth on an action figure, it's no longer an action figure, it's a doll. And although I know he said that, and he was like an older, grizzled, guy, so I kind of took it with a grain of salt, but I kind of always tried to stick with that. Now, cloth capes have grown on me, and I've seen the benefits of them, but like, what is it, Mezco is the ones that make like pure cloth costumes, and man, those things look weird. I mean, the body proportions, I mean, people make fun of McFarlane's body proportions, but have you ever really looked at a Mezco? They are strange looking, and they all have the same body shape, and you could see like their bulges sticking out from the cloth. And I mean, it just doesn't do anything for me. Now, if you collect that, that's fine. I mean, I'm happy for you. Collect them all. Buy 2 or 3 of each one. That's fine. Customize them. I know that people actually do customize those. But don't think that you're enjoying your collecting because you collect Mezco or Mafex or SH Figure Arts, whatever. Don't think that you're enjoying your collecting more than I do, because I really enjoy my collecting. I love customizing. I like using my figures to take photos and stuff like that. So we all get the same enjoyment out of collecting, or we should at least. But sometimes when people hate on you or talk down on the line that you collect, it's kind of hard to stay focused and stay collecting. But me, I don't ever really let stuff bother me. I'm like cool and collected, so I just roll with the punches. If you guys want to talk crap, that's fine, but everybody collects differently. Everybody has the reasons why they collect. Everybody enjoys their collections differently, and if you don't enjoy it, then why are you doing it? I wouldn't understand why you would collect something and be angry all the time, or be hating on somebody else's collection all the time. It's just not something I do. It's just not how I roll. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, I don't want this to be too long, is statues and Hot Toys, right? Now, honestly, if you collect statues, man, you're up there, because those are some high-end stuff. People collect statues differently. I know a guy that he'll switch them out. Like, he'll have a statue for a while, and then he'll sell it, and he'll bring another one in. You've seen actual collections of statues where they have them set up with lights and all stuff like that, which is awesome. That's great for you. But I've never really been into statues, because you don't move them, you don't interact with them, like you just look at them, and that's fine if you enjoy that. But I like to actually move around my figures and customize and stuff, so it's just a different form of collecting. Now, Hot Toys, that's another thing, because I know Hot Toys are beautiful. I've seen them. They're really nice. Even like the cloth goods that they do on Hot Toys are like immaculate. They're not like Mezco where it looks all weird. They're actually like sewn in and stitched in, and it looks actually like you have the character there. But there is where where you lose me, and that is that I'm not a big fan of having a small sized Henry Cavill in my house, and it would freak me out, like to have a little human standing around, and then to have multiples of them, it would be even worse. Like, just creepy, strange, and in the end, kind of scary. But if you like that, that's fine. But to me, those are like dolls, and I've never been into dolls. I don't know, kind of like I get a mannequin feeling from those things. And I've always been just a regular, blue collar action figure collector from the pegs. And I want to close this out with like something that I figured out about myself, and that would be that if I were to go to someone's house and they had a whole room dedicated to hot toys, and they had, each one in his own little, cubby with lights, and they're like, this is my whole collection of hot toys, I would like kind of like look around and be like, yeah, this is a nice one. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a cool Affleck Batman. That one looks really nice, and like that. But if you took me into a house and you had the whole DC Universe Classics collection set up with lights, with like dioramas, all the figures put together. I think there was like 300 figures from DC Universe Classics. Honestly, I would take out my camera. I would take out my camera and start recording for prosperity, because that to me would be an awesome collection. Now, I know everybody's different. People, like different things, but that's what makes us special and unique. Always respect everybody else's collection. But you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.